Perfect. Oh, hey. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe the Blue Wizard, and today you've caught me in the middle of recipe testing for a recipe that's going to be coming out probably sometime in March, so make sure you're looking out for that. But you know what? I think I need flour for the next step. So this is what you get, guys, when you don't pull out all of your ingredients that you need ahead of time. Why don't you come with me to the pantry and we'll grab the flour. Yes, my pantry is in my hall closet. Listen, when you like to bake and cook, but all you have is a galley kitchen, you have to make do with what you got. All right, there's the flour. Oh, what a coincidence, huh? You know, this over here, this is a pie server, pie store, I guess, that was in my grandmother's house. When she moved out to live with my aunt, she actually let me have it. So this actually has a lot of great memories for me because it was often out on my grandmother's table, mostly just as decoration. But I have put a pie or two inside of it since it has come into my possession, and it makes a lot of good memories for me. You know, come to think about it, there's actually a lot of cool stuff here in this pantry. Would you guys like a tour? Yes? Fantastic. Shut up. All right, so I guess we could actually start with the flour, which you can see I have in this fantastic container over here. These containers are super useful for me. They come from the Rubbermaid company, and they're really helpful because I like to do a lot of baking, in case you didn't know, and I buy a lot of my baking ingredients in bulk. That can make them difficult to store because a lot of the bulk bags are not very storable. So instead I buy these Rubbermaid containers and put a bunch of the ingredients in here, and then this way I always have them at my fingertips. And one of my favorite things, labels, with my label maker, because organization is fun, kids. If I had the money and the space, I would put every ingredient that I own in one of those containers, truly. Now, this shelf over here has a lot of my baking ingredients on it, and one of the first baking ingredients that I see is one of the best, my chocolate chips, because I think that it is a crime for a household to not have the ingredients to make the perfect chocolate chip cookies at any time of the day or night. And so therefore, chocolate chips definitely are here. And if you need a recipe for the best chocolate chip cookies ever, you might want to check out the video that I made. It'll fly up over here. Plus I'll also link the recipe on my website down below. Now this one's interesting. I actually have this container over here of gluten-free flour. And the gluten-free flour is here because even though I'm not gluten-free, I do have a fair number of friends who are. And so I always like to have this stuff around. This is all-purpose gluten-free flour. This is a 1-to-1, I think it's called Cup for Cup from Bob's Red Mill. And they make the best variety that I've seen and that I've used. So I always have it around just in case I have a gluten-free friend who's coming over, and this way I can make treats for them just as easily as I would make them for myself and my other friends. Now somebody asked me for a video on how to make and decorate sugar cookies, and I will have that video coming up very soon, I promise. But one of the things that you might want to pick up in the meantime is this stuff. This is meringue powder, which is used to make royal icing. Now you can make royal icing with just plain raw egg whites, but I find that a little bit off-putting to think of like raw egg whites being in my frosting. I know that it's probably safe and it's probably okay, but I figure why not be a little bit more safe? Plus this is a little bit more convenient, a little less messy, is having the meringue powder instead. And it's sort of like powdered egg white is kind of the way that it works. And it works out great in royal icing, which you use to decorate cookies. Now, I have regular unsweetened cocoa powder in this container over here, but this container of unsweetened cocoa powder is special because this is Hershey's Special Dark cocoa powder. And the reason why this is special is because this is actually my sister-in-law's favorite type of chocolate. And I think her favorite candy overall. So anytime that I'm making a cake for her, like I made for her birthday just, has it been a month already? My goodness. I always use the Special Dark unsweetened cocoa because that's her favorite. And so I always have some of this around just in case I'm making something for her. So shout out to Monique. Hey. Now, speaking of chocolate, these next two things would probably make a certain group of people pretty nervous and sort of cringe a little bit. If you're a hardcore coffee drinker, make sure to look away and skip ahead. I do have instant coffee granules in here. I don't, and espresso powder. I don't use them to make coffee though, so you can, you know, breathe for a second. I don't drink this stuff, but it makes a good additive anytime that you are using chocolate, because coffee brings out the flavor of chocolate a lot more. So I always add a little bit of this whenever I'm making some chocolate. In fact, my chocolate cake recipe, which you can find at bluewizardfood.com, has coffee in it and it has its espresso powder in it. Yeah, so it makes a great great use for that. So anytime you want to amp up the chocolate flavor or something, add a little bit of this. Another thing on this baking shelf, which is pretty important, is that I have sweetened condensed milk. A lot of times I feel like sweetened condensed milk gets looked down upon by a lot of people because it is like, you know, I don't know, people think of it as like being a very processed food, but it's not. It really is just milk and sugar. But the reason why I have this is because my recipe that I use for fast fudge actually uses sweetened condensed milk. So if you would like my recipe for fast fudge, leave me a comment down below and maybe I'll make a video about that as well. Here, almond flour. Almond flour is another essential ingredient in my fantastic, perfect chocolate chip cookies. But the reason why I have such a big container of it is not just for chocolate chip cookies, but if you are super interested in getting into baking, you might want to pick some of this up because there's a lot of European desserts that actually use almond flour or ground almonds in the recipe. So if you're really interested in baking a lot, then you might want to pick some of this up because it's a really pretty important ingredient if you're going to bake any European desserts. Here we go. This over here is, to some people, some bakers out there, it's the bane of their existence. To others like me, I don't mind it, and I think it's a good tool. It is fondant, okay? So I have this box over here of fondant. I don't make it, although you can. The reason why some people don't like it is because it is very cloyingly sweet. It's basically like a super thick frosting that you can mold and make things with. I use it anytime that I want to make a cake look like something. Like for instance, I made a cake that looks like a dog for my niece's first birthday. And so I used fondant in order to do that, to get all the shapes and everything like that. Now I always buy the packaged of white fondant and then I color it whatever color it is that I want to make it, like the brown and the black that I made for the little dog. But it's definitely not essential. And if you would like to see a video of me decorating cakes in the future, leave me a comment down below. In fact, guys, just in general, if anything that I talk about today sparks in you the desire to see a video from me, leave me a comment down below. Just a general rule, okay? Okay. Marshmelons, little mini marshmelons. If you know that reference and you know why I'm calling these marshmelons, then we can be friends, okay? Okay. Here's a little experiment that I've been working on. It's pretty exciting because everyone and their brother has been telling me that I should be doing this. And so I'm listening to them and I'm practicing it to see if it works. But that is making my own homemade vanilla. So you can see in this bottle, I have all the vanilla pods and seeds and everything like that. And it's suspended in, I used vodka to suspend it. And I've got 2 bottles of it going actually, because it does take about, I think like 3 months before it'll be ready. And I just made this like a week ago. I'll let you guys know if it's really that much better once I actually start using this stuff, but everyone who uses it swears to me that it is. So we'll find out. All right, that's enough of the sweet stuff. Let's move on to some of the savory things. Over here, oh, here we go. I've got hibiscus leaves, okay? This is for making hibiscus tea. There's actually a recipe for this on my website, bluewizardfood.com, and I will link that down below for making iced hibiscus tea, which shocked me at how good it was, and it shocked my family as well, because you look at it and you're like, ooh, that's red and it's tea. That's kind of weird, but it actually tastes really, really, really good. So if you're interested, I would check the link down below. Oh, here's another interesting thing. When I moved out of my parents' house many moons ago, I swore to myself that I was going to be more exotic with my cooking, and I was going to use flavors and, you know, use recipes from places that I had never been and you know, things that I had never tried before and everything like that. And one of the ingredients that I found when I was experimenting with new things was this stuff. It's called za'atar seasoning. It's actually like an herb and spice blend that comes from like North Africa and the Middle East and everything like that. And the stuff is fantastic. I put it on squash, and I've also put it on meats before, like steaks and everything like that, and ground beef. It makes a great seasoning for beef. So it's actually really, really great, and I use it a lot. Now, the next thing I want to show you shocks me that it's in my pantry, because I used to be one of those, you know, snobby tea people, that if you drink herbal tea, you weren't a real tea drinker because black tea is the way to go. Well, kids, I have been trying to cut down on my caffeine and not drink any caffeine, and so even though I love black tea, particularly Earl Grey tea, I have switched to herbal. So I have made my move to herbal, and this stuff is actually really good. I get this. This is from the Yogi brand. It's called Honey Lavender Stress Relief. It is a fantastic, fantastic tea. And this is pretty much what I drink, you know, exclusively at this point because it is the best herbal tea that I have found. But I'm looking for more recommendations for herbal tea. So if you have a recommendation for more herbal tea that tastes fantastic, leave me a comment down below because I'm still trying to cut back on my caffeine, and you know, the more variety that you can have, the better. So if we come a bit lower, we can see the bottom shelves over here. And one of the things that I have lots of is jam. 1 jar, 2 jars, 3 jars, 4 jars, 5 jars, 6 jars, 7 jars of different kinds of jam. A lot of them are actually from one of my favorite places to go in apple season, which is County Line Orchard. Whenever I go into their little general store, I just can't help myself but buying all the different butters and jams that they have. So this is apple walnut butter. This is just plain old apple butter. I've got strawberry fig jam. Still haven't tried that yet, but I'm sure that it's fantastic. This is not from County Line. This is just raspberry jam. And then strawberry rhubarb jam and more plain apple butter. But the bottom line is they have lots of cool creative things. Oh yeah, and I forgot one, blueberry preserves. They have lots of cool different flavors and stuff, and they've tried a lot of different things that you can't normally find in the grocery store. So I like to try that, you know, stuff because, I don't know, it's fun to try new things. This over here is actually really great, and I'm gonna recommend this in a future video as well. But I've started using this brand Better Than Bouillon for their wet base for chicken broth and beef broth and vegetable broth. This one is organic and reduced sodium. And basically you take just like a tablespoon of this and mix it in with a quart of water, and you have instant chicken stock or beef stock or vegetable stock or whatever it is that you're trying to make. And it just makes it a lot more convenient because for me, you know, I'm just cooking for myself. And so because of that, I don't end up using like tons and tons and tons of stock, and I don't really have the room to store it. And so this is a great alternative and a great way to store your stock and to have it always whenever you need it, but not when you don't. Well, this is fun. This is another one of those new things that I tried, like the za'atar seasoning. This is harissa paste. This is another thing that I like to have on squash and vegetables and meats and things like that. And it actually has a really nice spicy red pepper flavor to it. It's really good. So harissa paste is actually one of my favorite ingredients that I've been using. Vitamins to keep me healthy. Now, I don't like always to eat canned meats and things like that, but there are a few that I do indulge on occasion. And that one of them is canned salmon I like to have. I use this instead of using canned tuna and make salmon salad instead of tuna salad. It tastes sort of similar to it, and to me, the salmon just has a better flavor to it than the canned tuna, and so I started using this stuff instead for my tuna salad. And then this over here, Spam. Yes, I do have Spam in my pantry. I don't eat it often. I eat it probably about once a year. I bought a ton of it from, I have a lot of it, like a lot of Spam, and I only have it about like once or twice a year, but the stuff like lasts forever. And so, you know, I don't think it's ever gonna go bad. So I can keep doing it like that's only having it once or twice a year, and I should be good for the next, what, 3-4 years? Now, I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, but I try not to eat the sweets as much as possible. So what I have found that best works for me is I buy gigantic packages of the sweets, and then I know I can't possibly eat all of it, and so then I only eat a little bit of it at a time. And so I bought this gigantic package of Jelly Belly jelly beans from Costco, and it has lasted me a very long time, and I just eat a little bit at a time, and it's really nice. The other one that I bought a big bag of, this is not from Costco, I bought this off of Amazon, is Jolly Ranchers, because this is a fun thing. I put these in my desk at work, and then whenever I have a sweet tooth for something, I just pop a Jolly Rancher, and they are fantastic. 2 of my favorite candies. Not my ultimate favorite candy though. My ultimate favorite candy is Reese's, anything Reese's, but I can't keep that in my house because it does not matter how big of a package I buy, I will eat them all, and I will eat them all at once. So, yeah. Can't have Reese's in the house, but Reese's, I love you. Another thing that I love, Frank's Red Hot. And I have a lot of it. Why? Let me tell you a little story. There once was a time, ladies and gentlemen, when Costco stopped selling Frank's Red Hot. the horror. I was despondent. Well, let me tell you, as soon as they brought it back into stock, all of a sudden I panicked and I bought a bunch of it. I actually bought like 4 more packages in this, but this is another thing that lasts a really long time. And so I just keep it in my pantry and I just use it whenever I use it, which is a lot. I really enjoy Frank's Red Hot. It is the best hot sauce in my opinion, my humble opinion. All right, now down at the very bottom, I have some things that are particularly good for baking. I have a gigantic cake carrier here. This one will carry a sheet cake, plus it'll also carry, it's got an insert in it. I don't know if you guys can see. It's got an insert in it for cupcakes and things, and so I use this a lot. I have another cake carrier that's a round one, but my brother and sister-in-law have that one right now because I made a cake for my sister-in-law's birthday, and they still have that. Tim, Monique, where's my cake carrier? Just kidding. They have it with my permission. It's okay. They didn't steal it from me. I will get it back. I know I will. Will I? Let's take a look at these. Foil pans. Another thing that I buy in bulk from Costco. These foil pans, they've got all different kinds of sizes, and in here I've got like ones that are loaf pans and pie pans and 8-inch square pans and 13 by 9 pans. The reason why I buy these is if ever I give baked goods or something to somebody else, or if I want to make something real quick and I don't have a lot of time to wash up or clean up, then I will make them in a disposable pan. And then this way I don't have to worry about the cleanup, or if I'm giving it to somebody else, I don't have to worry about getting my pan back. Next thing that I have in here are these little cake circles that we have over here. I use these for putting cakes on, obviously, and also pizzas. I can build pizzas on here too, and it makes it a little bit more convenient. These circles are huge, huge godsend. If I ever make a video about how to decorate a cake, which I probably will, I'm gonna show you how to use these to decorate a cake better, because you can actually use the circle to get a really smooth, clean edge on your cake. The circle is sort of like the secret to doing that. So if you're interested in making cakes that look really fancy, I would make sure to buy some of these circles. These are 9-inch round circles. I also have decorative ones, like this one is in gold. But anyway, so the circles are a huge thing. If you're gonna get into cake decorating, you definitely want some circles. All right, and the last thing that I wanted to show you is one of my favorite things, and one of the things I'm most proud of. My big box of cookie cutters. So I have a big box of different shapes and sizes of cookie cutters because I do enjoy making cookies. I don't get to make them as often as I'd like, but whenever I do make them, I like to make sure that I have all the different possibilities to let my creativity fly. So I just have plain round ones, which I actually use for more than just cookies. I use them for a lot of things. These are some Harry Potter themed cookie cutters that a friend of mine bought me for Christmas. Thank you, Corey. I have snowflake ones for Christmas and Christmas tree ones. And then I've got, let's see, ones for other holidays. There's like ghosts in here for Halloween, little rabbits for Easter and things like that. I've just got basically just like a ton of different shapes in here. I actually got a lot of these, even like here, letters of the alphabet. So I actually got a lot of these in a gigantic box that Wilton sells of 100 different cookie cutters. So a lot of these are mine, but a lot of them came from that box, and I sort of organized them and I use them a lot. And anytime that I come up with a new cookie design, I'm always going into this box for inspiration. So that's my box of cookie cutters, which we'll talk more about when I make that cookie video. Well, guys, that's it for my pantry. I gotta head back up and grab my flour and then head back off to finish my recipe testing. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell for notifications, so this way you're notified every time I post a new video. And look out, kids, because there is a new video coming up in March, which will show you the recipe that I am testing today. If you want to catch up with me with some of the other things that I have been working on, make sure to follow me on both Instagram and Facebook at Joe the Blue Wiz. And of course, if you want any of the recipes that I've mentioned today, plus a ton of other recipes, you might want to check out my website, bluewizardfood.com. And as always, kids, remember, you don't have to be a professional chef or even a wizard in order to make magic in your kitchen. Bye now.